Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about The Eternals. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros: this is an MCU movie. Do I even need to go any further than that? But for the five of you out there who don't know already, MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, the biggest franchise of all time, has made tens of billions of dollars. I mean, let's just look at this. Uh, okay, here's the biggest. Endgame, like 2.7 billion, 2 billion, 1.5, 1.3, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, 1.1, 1.1. Then the 800s and the 700s and the 600s. So the MCU movies, all of them, have made hundreds of millions of dollars a piece, with some making way more than $1 billion. So this is easily the most valuable franchise ever. So, and naturally, with all that success, comes a very dedicated fan base who will be willing to watch all these movies, even ones based off relatively obscure characters, like this movie, for example, The Eternals. I mean, look at Shang-Chi. Nobody knew who he was. I certainly didn't know who he was before his movie came out. And when it came out, it became the biggest movie of the year, domestically at least. It's made over 400 million worldwide. That's more than Black Widow, which was based off a established character for more than 10 years. So if Shang-Chi can be a hit, then theoretically the Eternals can be a hit too. Because it's also based off not so well known, characters and source material. Not to mention other characters. Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy. Right? So yeah, MCU, dedicated fan base who will watch all the movies, and the fact that even their lesser known characters can make money, that's all pros. Easy pros. All those pros are given. So all those are pros. Just MCU in general, pro. Second pro, this is the first big movie to come out in at least 2 weeks. Last one we got was Dune. So, and October was filled with a lot of blockbuster esque movies. Venom 2, No Time to Die, Halloween Kills, and Dune. And this is obviously in the same ballpark as those. And this one's a bit more important because this is kicking off the holiday movie season, which usually starts the first weekend of November and it lasts all the way through New Year's. And this is the movie that's going to kick off the holiday season. And what better way to do it than a Marvel movie, right? I mean, again, they've made billions of dollars, so why not? And so this will be seen as an event movie. It's being built like an event movie. It's being advertised as an event movie. And plus, I guess you count this as another pro. There's no competition. All the October releases are just gonna die out at this point. And for the rest of the month, Eternals, like it's the most direct competition has to deal with is gonna be Ghostbusters Afterlife. Besides that, I can't think of anything else, honestly. But Ghostbusters Afterlife is until 2 weeks from now, so Eternals really has nothing to worry about competition wise for a while. So yeah, so this was a good strategy, a good release date. And not to mention, Marvel movies have opened in November. Some of the ones have opened in November in the past that include Thor the Dark World, Doctor Strange, and Thor Ragnarok. All made money, with Thor Ragnarok making the most money. So this is again a good date for the movie. This movie picked a good date because it has no competition, has event status all over it, and it's gonna kick off the lucrative holiday season. So all those are more pros. So yeah, the release date is at least to several pros. So yeah, MCU and the release date. What other pros? Well, well, this is neither a pro or a con. I guess we can call. Let's talk about the cast real quick. It's ensemble. The biggest one, obviously, is Angelina Jolie. She's been around for a long time. She's had a long history of success, but her career hasn't been spotless. Has not been spotless at all. And we will get to that when we get to the cons. But like a lot of these actors, mainly Angelina Jolie and Salma Hayek being like the two biggest ones. And I think Kit Harington, he's in the movie too from Game of Thrones, but he hasn't been so lucky with movies. And oh God, I can never say this guy's name right. I'm really sorry, but uh, Kingo over here, the guy who plays Kingo, you've probably seen him in quite a few movies in the past few years. It's like a lot of these actors are recognizable, even though they're not big draws. But like I've said plenty of times, like even if all the actors aren't the biggest draws, if you group them all together, it leads to a more appealing package. And I think that's what helped Dune. That's what helped Knives Out. So I think it might help this movie too, maybe. And then the director of this movie, Chloe Zhao. I don't think I pronounced her name right. Ugh, I'm terrible at names. But she recently directed what is she? I remember what it was. No Man Land. No Man Land. Ugh. Why are these names so difficult? Why is my tongue just want to twist so bad? I don't know. But No Man Land, it was an Oscar-winning film, so it got her some clout. Although, it probably cost this movie its China release date. Because if you've heard, this movie's not going to be released in China. In fact, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Eternals, none of them are going to be released in China for various reasons. For Shang-Chi, it was likely because the main actor said some things a couple years ago, and they were just like, nope, you're not, no thanks. We don't want you here. And with the Eternals, I believe Chloe Zhao said some things that cost the release date. It's weird. It's weird. I don't. It's so dumb. But it's likely going to cost this movie quite a bit of money, of potential money. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Okay. So all that being said, cons. Oh, okay. Before we get to the cons, I want to go on two little tangents real quick. The first one are about the characters of this movie. Like, here's my big question: what are these characters' names? Like, seriously, what are these names? Who came up with these names? Why are these the names of the characters? Because these names are so stupid that they make me laugh. And I'm about to show you. Okay. Here are posters of all these characters. I'm about to just show you all the characters. There's 10. Or 10 Eternals. So we're gonna go in order. At least when it comes to these posters. So first we got Ajak. Alright, Selma Hayek's character. Then we got Angelina Jolie Athena. Okay, it's looking decent so far. And then we got Kingo. Oh god. So that's just great. And then oh god. Gilgamesh, I think. Okay, so this is this guy. And then we got Icarus. Well, that's easy. Icarus. And then we got Droog, although the first time I saw his name, I said drug. All you gotta do is remove the I and it's drug. It's that simple. But yeah, it's Droog. Droog, it doesn't matter. Makari? Yeah, we got Makari over here. Yeah, Makari, that's not too bad. Face, oh my god. Fasos? It's a PH. So it's face, mm, so I cannot pronounce this dude's name. Ugh. Fast, it don't, I give up. And then we got Cersei here. That's easy. And then the last but certainly not least, Sprite. I'm dead serious. That's the character's name, Sprite. Sprite. I guess they couldn't use Coke, they couldn't use Pepsi, they couldn't use Sierra Mist, they couldn't use Fanta, they went with Sprite. Alright, cool. And that's our characters' names. It's just what who seriously, who came up with these names? Who looked at these names and said, "Yeah, this is good." Like, ugh, it boggles the mind. That's the first tangent. The second tangent revolves around the character I can't pronounce for the life of me. Fasos. Fasos. That guy. He is, well, in the movie, his character is gay. Okay, they made that public. They announced it well in advance. All right, it's the first, LGBT plus MCU superhero. I mean, only took him 13 years, but better late than never, I guess. And the way, I mean, they haven't done it. Well, actually, they kind of have. Because since Marvel Studios is obviously a part of Disney, Disney have become very notorious of how they've treated LGBT characters. Basically, people have made jokes about it, basically saying, "Oh, this is their 15th first gay character." How like all the time they like to publicize how they're like, "Oh, this is our first, look at this. We got a gay character now. We got a lesbian character. We got a trans character, this and that." This publicizing it. And a lot of people find it really gross, me included, because it feels like they're kind of just, it feels very disingenuous. It feels like they're kind of just pointing at them like, I don't know, like a freak show or something. Just like, look, everyone, look, it's a gay person. And it just comes off, I hate it. I hate when they do that. I'd rather them just not say anything and let the audience figure it out for themselves. Okay, rather than just pointing it out to them like that, like we're all idiots. And not to mention, Disney is extremely hypocritical with a lot of things. They say, they're like, "Oh, we're so inclusive and diverse and, representation and blah blah blah." And literally like the first day of Pride Month, someone filed a lawsuit against them. Let me look it up. I remember it quite well. It was like the first day of Pride Month of this year, and it revolved around. Ugh, my computer is being slow. I'm using a computer off screen, by the way. Okay. Let's see. Disney LGBT lawsuit. Okay. This was this year. Disney hit with sexual orientation discrimination suit by ABC signature VP on the first day of Pride Month. And this is after I think they made like a tweet saying like, "Oh, everyone's welcome under the rainbow," and then they got hit with this lawsuit. So yeah, it's not good. I don't like it. And with Disney, they really need to stop with this almost like this middle ground BS. Like you're either for it or you're not. You can't just be both at once. Like you gotta pick a side here. Because if you don't, it just makes you all look terrible. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know some people are gonna mention it. And I think I've already mentioned this before with Onward, how they're like, oh my gosh, we have uh like a very minor character, like this cop who is a lesbian, and mentions like once, like, oh, I have a girlfriend. And they edit it for like other countries, particularly like Russia and China, where they edit it out to just be like mention friend or something. Because, Disney, they say they love the LGBT community, but they want that China dollar real bad. So they're just like, we love you, but money comes first. And I think that's gross too. So I don't like any of it. It all comes off as just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So yeah, I wanted to mention that before we got to the actual cons. So yeah. Okay. Cons. The reviews for this movie are not good. Last I checked, it's at a 51% on RT, Rotten Tomatoes. Easily the worst reviewed Marvel movie of all time. The previous worst was Thor The Dark World, which I believe had a 66 or 67%, which is surprising because I don't think anyone liked Thor The Dark World. This Most people consider it to be like the least memorable Marvel movie ever. I think other movies that kind of fall into that boat are The Incredible Hulk and Ant-Man and the Wasp. But many people like I barely remember Thor the Dark World. Nobody remembers that movie's villain. I can tell you that. But yeah, the fact that this is way worse than that apparently, it's a bit surprising. But you know, with reviews, sometimes they don't have much of an effect. I mean, there have been plenty of movies in the past that have gotten horrific reviews and still made money, probably because of good marketing. But there have been plenty of movies that have great reviews that absolutely tanked financially. So reviews don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's always better to have good reviews than bad reviews. And this definitely has bad reviews, so that's not good. But it probably won't hurt it, but it's something it might hurt its legs. It'll definitely hurt its legs. It'll hurt its, rewatchability factor. So, yeah, I would consider that a con, the reviews. Another con, I guess similar to Shang-Chi, well, I know I mentioned how people are willing to watch Marvel movies where they don't know who these characters are. But the thing is, this is way more niche in a way than Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was just about one guy and was mainly uh marketed as like a martial arts movie, more or less. This is we got 10 characters to deal with. We have to juggle 10 characters, and it's more of a cosmic movie. So it's not going to be as easy of a sell as Shang-Chi. So, yeah, and not to mention, most people don't know what the hell an Eternal is. Doesn't help anything. So, I would consider that a relative con. The fact that these characters are super obscure and not to mention it's the whole movie itself is a bit of a harder sell than other MCU movies, so I would consider that a con. Third con, uh, well, I guess I can mention the pandemic, I guess, even though with box office wise, we're on we're on a good track. We are on the right track. We are, going back to pre-pandemic box office. At least that's where it looks like we're going. So pandemic won't be much of a factor with this movie. It wasn't a factor with Shang-Chi, so why would it be a factor with this? So, but it's still something to note. So I'll just mention that. Uh, I think that's it. Well, wait, I forgot the cast, or at least the main person, the cast, Angelina Jolie. Yes, she's had plenty of hits in the past. Laura Croft Tomb Raider, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Wanted, Salt, Maleficent, right? But she's also had quite a bit of bombs recently. Hell, this year, Those Who Wish Me Dead did terrible, terrible financially. And she was the main star of that movie, and nobody watched it. Now, some would blame the pandemic for that. Some would blame HBO Max for that because that was part of the HBO Max experiment. I don't think this movie would have done well in any era, really. So it was pretty much screwed from the get go. But yeah, the movie bombed. No one can deny that. And so yeah, she's not a super reliable draw. She has to be in the right role to be a draw. If she's not in the right role, then the movie's gonna tank. And is she in the right role for this? I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I'm planning on watching it sometime this weekend. But yeah, her track record's not too great. Hell, none of the actors' track records are too great. But again, as I already said, as long as you group them all together, it's a much more appealing package. So yeah, I wanted to mention that. Okay, I think that's it. So opening weekend. Uh, opening weekend. Well, we gotta look at other MCU movies that we have a good comparison. I think our two best comparisons are Black Widow and Shang-Chi, wherever they are. All right, we're going by opening weekends. So Black Widow, which had the Disney Plus Premier Access attached to it, opened with $80 million in July. Shang-Chi opened with 75 million in September. So these are the two most easily comparable MCU movies because they're both pandemic movies. I think Eternals has a chance to be on the same level as those, probably more on the level of Shang-Chi than Black Widow because I've heard the Eternals has good pre-sale numbers. So I think it'll definitely be on the lower end, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a flop. Absolutely won't be a flop. It'll just be on the lower end of the MCU, which again is expected because these characters aren't well known, they aren't established. Movies are harder to sell than other MCU movies. See, I'm not expecting Endgame money, okay? No one's expecting that. So yeah, I think it'll open around 70 to 75 million opening weekend. And then its total domestically will probably be around 200, I'm guessing. Maybe a bit under that, but around 200. That's where I think it's going to land. Worldwide, who knows? Who knows? Man, I can't tell you. Because again, I've said plenty of times the overseas box office has been super wonky recently, although it has gotten better with movies like No Time to Die and Dune, and even Venom 2 is doing pretty decent. So, Yeah, that's where I think it's gonna land, right in the realm of some in between Black Widow and Shang-Chi. That's where I think it's gonna land. So yeah, that's Eternals. Yeah. And now, oh, I picked the wrong one. Darn it. Okay. Originally, I thought I was only gonna do the Eternals this weekend, but I was wrong because I also have to do Spencer, which is opening in less than 1,000 theaters, so it qualifies as wide. So I have to talk about it. So that'll be next. And then that'll be it for the weekend. And then for next week, midweek, I have to do Clifford the Big Red Dog. And then I have to do Belfast. And then after that, Ghostbusters Afterlife and King Richard. And then a bunch of Thanksgiving movies. And then that'll be it for November. So stay tuned for all those. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got a playlist on the homepage with all previous prediction videos I made this year, particularly ones of Black Widow and Shang-Chi. If you want to know my thoughts on those, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I believe I mentioned the Eternals a few times. Last time I mentioned it, it was mainly saying, "Oh, it's going to keep the theatrical release. It's not going to Disney Plus Premier Access." But I didn't mention the Eternals a few times, so if you want to watch, any of the canceled videos involving the Eternals, you can go right ahead. Plus all the others, since there's now 87 of them. And then box office recaps, where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I said the recap for October will come today, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. I have to push it back a bit till probably the weekend, but it will come out soon. I can promise you that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.